Boss wants me to find out where I'm supposed to work before clocking in. Started a new job today, and my manager made it very clear that they want us to come into the lunch break room first thing, find out where in the factory they want us to work that day, then go clock in and no more than 2 minutes early. I know it's just a few minutes, but it doesn't seem right to have a conversation about work before clocking in, and frankly, I'm tired of employers getting away with shit, even small things. So would this be illegal? I live in the US, Ohio, so I called OSHA to ask, but they told me to call my state's Department of Labor Wage Hour Division. Department of Labor didn't answer, so I thought I'd ask here so I can be a little prepared tomorrow morning. I'm fully ready to dig my heels in if the law is on my side. Point to the new Home Depot lawsuit. Time spent putting on your apron work you have to do so you can do your work, is paid time. If boss don't like it, he can take it up with Uncle Sam. Never do any work off the clock, that includes finding out where you're working. Tell him I am clocking in as long as I am in the building to work. Stand by it. Whether they have assigned work for you or not, you are there on company time. It's your boss' job to have it all figured out as far as what you'll be doing. His or her lack of managerial skills should not be cutting into your pay. Clock in. Sounds like a meeting and you should be paid for those. Don't clock in. What? I said don't clock in. Clock in. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you until I clocked in. Okay, now what were you going on about? The thing is, the boss is giving you a work directive. Checking where you're going to work. Since this directive is from your boss, it's now counted as hours worked since your boss is telling you this is a primary duty of your job to do the entirety of your job. Clock in and get your money even if it's only a couple minutes. Then go find where you are working and then go ahead and start your day. I'll be honest, I would straight up ignore this until they made it a real issue. Your boss can prevent you from clocking in early. But, you do not have to and should not do anything related to work without clocking in first. Bro, clock in before you shit. Yeah. If a boss is telling me what to do, I'm going to get paid to hear that. Maybe press the issue from the boss's side and suggest they write you up for not following the boss's instructions when you're not on clock. Maybe suggest you both take a walk to HR to see if anybody there can shed some light on how this should be handled. It's work-related, so yes, you get paid for it. How about telling them stop being lazy and post the schedule ahead of time? Tell him it's a fire and general liability hazard for the company if you're doing work-related tasks without being signed in on the clock. They are telling you where to be and when. That is work. If it were me, I would start by telling them that and see what their reaction is. If it's bad, maybe tell them I'm not sure, maybe you are right. Let's ask the Department of Labor, they should know. We, collectively as a workforce, need to stop pussyfooting around these blatant work law violations. In a group, even if not unionized, should declare that the law is being violated and say no. We will clock in, check our work areas, and proceed as expected. Or have the assignments in the day before prior to shift end. Can't they put this information where you are working in front of the clock-in machine? Tell him to make a system which informs you where you'll work for the day before you arrive at work. That way, you go straight to work and clock in. Everyone wins. If he doesn't want to do that, he needs to pay you for your time doing it for him. Why don't they just move the list to where the clock is, or move the clock to where the list is instead of trying to make it your problem? I do as you're told and report it to the State Labor Board. Let them deal with your employer. You'll probably get restitution of your unpaid time after their investigation. Otherwise you're gonna get your ass fired. It's not just a pay thing, it's also a liability issue. Getting injured at work while clocked in is different than getting injured outside of work. Nope. I'm scheduled at 4, I start at 4. That means I click on at 4, then I put my shit up and get my assignment. They can fuck off. Why don't they post the work schedule by the time clock? My manager, hey, can you? This needs to wait until it's time for me to clock in as scheduled, or you need to authorize me to clock in early. Manager, oh, yeah, go ahead and clock in. Wait's okay, so another department has done something that means our workload has doubled. Work is not physical labor. It's your time. Yeah, just say you don't work off the clock. Discussing work is work. If he gives you gruff, give him the phone number you called for the labor department. Then tell him that's what the number will get him in touch with. Have him put it in writing so you have evidence. And then file complaint and continue to clock in first prior to going to backroom break room. In our factory we clocked in, then met up to find out what machine we were working on for the day. Clock in as soon as you get there. When I had to clock in to work, sometimes I would get sidetracked and then clock in late. Fuck your boss. Yes. 1. Set foot on the premises. 2. Clock in, then 3. Do what you need to do to get ready to start working, then 4. Start actually working. Sure, they can state when clocking in 2 takes place. But so long as you aren't abusing it, 3 takes however long it takes, includes everything they require of you. That must be paid time. That is wage theft. Plain and simple, and yes, the labor department is the proper contact. Clock in before you have this conversation. Tell him to text you a pic of the break room post board daily. Or tell him to post it next to the time clock. Or move the time clock to the break room. So many options. Also look for a different job. This is a red flag. As a new employee, it's important to set them straight early on. OSHA is only for safety. Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Ask for it in writing. That's crazy to me that your boss would choose this hill to die on. Like, having employees walk to the back of the store, check a schedule, and walk to that area to work is too much of a strain in the budget. My work started 7 a.m. I will not work when I am not getting paid. Technically, I do not have a supervisor until I am getting paid. I could literally tell them to pound sand before 7 a.m. Technically, they are supposed to pay you for phone calls, texts, and emails as well if you're not on the clock. Clock in as soon you walk in. I bet your company has a policy you can't hang out when not working. So clock in first to be in compliance with company policy. You cannot work unless on the clock. If the management team had a half a brain cell between them, they'd just post a listing next to the clock-in machine. It's almost like most management is universally unqualified to do their own job. I know management isn't qualified to do my job, or the job of anyone they manage, but is it really too much to ask that they be qualified to do their own job? I don't do a single thing for anyone other than myself until I've clocked in. You know pay, I know work. I have the same mindset. If I'm doing work, it's paid work. I got into an argument with a supervisor one I quite like actually during the fall session because I kept logging out 15 minutes late waiting for patrons to leave the facility. She relented because I'm right. If I'm waiting for people to lock up, then I am still working as I can't just leave. She said the other evening staff don't log the 15 minutes, but yeah, if they want to volunteer that's on them, and 15 minutes every other shift adds up pretty quickly. Any conversation that is work-related is paid time. I suppose handing them a paper with a list of consultation fees $100 hour, rounded up to the nearest hour, might be a little heavy-handed to get the message across. I'm a cable tech and I'm late to my 8 a.m. jobs every day because they insist on giving me routes that are an hour and a half away from my house, but refuse on letting me clock in before 7:15. I drive a company truck and will not be operating it going to a job without being paid for an hour and a half commute. They don't let us use it for personal use, so I won't let them use my personal time to drive it. Simple as that. Quick rule of thumb: if they're telling you what to do, they have to pay you for it.